Hello, here's part 2 of our Introduction to Argument slideshow. We're going to focus here on the idea of reading arguments and summary and how this can help you make a better argument for you. The first thing we need to understand is an idea that every text, every source that we read has a different rhetorical context, whether it's a movie, whether it's a blog post, whether it's an academic argument. They all have different purposes, different structures, different context, and we're going to be spending some time on that. Our textbook outlines a series of strategies for you to follow in reading arguments. The first is to read as a believer, the second as a doubter. The third is to seek out alternative views and look for reasons why people disagree, and then using this disagreement to prompt you to make further discoveries. In terms of rhetorical context of text, our textbook does a really good job of this on pages 19 through 22, where they show you the different kinds of text that you might encounter, whether there's videos, like I said, blog postings, letters to the editor, op-ed pieces, encyclopedia articles. All these have different context. Different writers have different reasons for writing, and I think you just need to understand that. The best thing you can do is to review the material that's in the textbook. And you really have to understand the context of what you're looking at. And this is something students, I've always found, had some difficulty with, mainly I think because you're just not exposed to very many kinds of media where serious argument appears. You don't tend to pick up written arguments because nobody really asked you to outside of a textbook. Students don't tend to read opinion journals or newspapers very much, although you certainly consume a great deal of news on your phone, as I do too. I guess the bottom line here is understanding that everybody has an agenda, everybody has a point of view, and every text that you're going to run into is going to have a different set of context, cultural values, biases, beliefs, and values embedded in them. Everybody's got an agenda. Just understand that. My students always say, I'm looking for unbiased sources, and I always say, pack a lunch. No such thing. The first thing our textbook suggests is that you begin to read every text as a believer, that you read through the author's eyes. You understand the author's point of view, you understand the author's angle of vision, and you try to be fair and objective. You try to just consume the article or the source or the text or the video for what it is, and you try to use your own experience as a way of contextualizing this and saying, does this make sense to me? The second way is, after you've done that, reading as a believer, it's time to read as a doubter. This is the exact opposite. You object to everything, you ask questions, you dissent, you challenge the the audience, pardon me, you challenge the writer's beliefs, values, assumptions, data, you question everything. So you read as a believer, you accept everything, you read as a doubter. You question everything. You do this with every single text that you consume. Like I said, whether it's a video, a cartoon, a long argumentative paper, an academic journal article, it doesn't matter. You perform this same task with everything. What this is going to do is make you read things more than once. And I think that is also something I found students have some difficulty with, as I think most human beings have some difficulty with it. But it's a valuable thing for you to do for this particular course. Where does summary fit into this? You do the doubting and believing game until you really understand the source that you're looking at. You understand exactly what the writer has in mind, why he or she has put it together in the way that they have, and what they want the audience to do. Then your task is to summarize that, turn it into a short version, mostly in your own words, to show that you understand it. This is almost like internalizing the source. And once you've internalized it in this believing and doubting, summarizing kind of way, then you can make use of it for your own purposes, because now it's a part of you. You can accept it, you can reject it, you can use it as a basis for belief, you can use it as an alternative that you reject, and you can incorporate it into a paper or into some kind of a text where it can become part of your own ideas. And of course, you document this as well. We'll be talking about that as we move along. But that's the fundamental function of summary, is to help you understand the text that you've been reading and to make use of it in a paper that you put together. This should propel you into looking for multiple sources. You really shouldn't rely on just one source or two sources or three sources. Our bibliography assignment asks you to find 7 of 4 different kinds, and that's going to steer you in a particular set of directions. What that's going to do is let you look at people who agree with you, people who disagree with you, people who agree with each other, disagree with each other, and you're going to find out perhaps a more comprehensive body of facts. You're going to understand the values and beliefs and assumptions that audiences and writers bring to bear on a particular topic. And you're going to find all kinds of other things, definitions, analogies. You're going to find aspects of personal experience, even people's religious beliefs embedded in these arguments. And the more you're able to perform this task, what our textbook calls thinking dialectically, believing, doubting, and looking for some kind of synthesis in between those two, that's going to make for a better argument. You're going to understand the material, you're going to understand what the issues are, and you're going to be able to write a better argument as a result of that. Understand that experts can disagree, and that there's no one expert on any one topic who's absolutely in possession of all the facts and all the good perceptions of it. You also don't have to agree with someone's side just because they're smarter or older or more knowledgeable than you are. You have your own point of view, you have your own values, you're a smart person. You just haven't spent the time on these issues that these other folks have. So you don't have to take somebody else's side just because they're famous or important or written a couple of books. But if you question them, you're going to have to do it on the basis of knowledge that you've gained. Also understand that whatever you're going to consume in this reading arguments process could very well lead you to areas where there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of ambiguity. And this should itself propel you to find better sources and more comprehensive sources. It should also force you to start thinking about your own values and start thinking about how you really regard alternative points of view, because you have to consider them seriously and then deal with them in some way. I've even had students change their mind between one argument paper and another in this course as they learn more. So don't be resistant to that. Don't make your mind up on day one and not change it for the rest of the course. You should be expanding your horizons as you work your way through. Then the last piece we want to talk about here is this idea of writing arguments. This is a persuasive part. Again, you're moving an audience in your direction, and the way to do that is to make sure that you've presented the issue in a complex enough way so that your stance reflects, as our textbook says, an ethical consideration of conflicting views. Not everybody, as I said, will hold the same set of views, so you have to show some respect for those who don't, or they're simply not going to listen to you. And part of this process, again, is summarizing multiple sources helps develop that ethical consideration. Here's our last slide. This is what you don't want to do. And of course, I rely very heavily on people like Calvin and Hobbes and Dilbert in my cartoon uses in PowerPoint. So you're going to be seeing a fair number of these things. Luckily, in this course, a clear plastic binder won't do you very much good in an online course because it's awfully hard to transmit one of those online. This ends our presentation on Chapter 2, and you'll see further videos as we go through the course. Thank you for your